Let me introduce you to the series that needs no introduction. From straight up classics to instant failures, the franchise has seen it all and continues to stay relevant, with rumours suggesting that a new Ratchet Clank game may be an upcoming launch title for PS5. Now, while the series is mainly stuck to the PlayStation home consoles, it has occasionally branched out to the handheld systems, most notably with high impact games Ratchet Clank Size Matters and even the HD trilogy getting a Vita port. But let's just forget all that for a minute and pretend it's 2005. Now, if you were like me, you might have been lucky enough to get Ratchet Gladiator that year, and upon opening the game, you're greeted with Ratchet Clank on calculator. Yeah, this seemed to be some sort of trend in the mid-2000s of taking well-known gaming franchises and releasing mobile versions, all with differing levels of quality. It happened to Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, hell, even Resident Evil. So 15 years later, I finally decided to try Ratchet & Clank Going Mobile, as it's called, and see what I've been missing this whole time. Alright, so after doing a bit of research, it turns out people were generally pretty mixed about this game when it came out, despite it winning the Best Action Game at the Mobile Entertainment Awards. Whatever that tells you. Here we have this ancient IGN review, which I quote, "Honestly, I think I may be enjoying Ratchet & Clank Going Mobile more than I am Ratchet Deadlocked." Oh yeah, I can see why. Anyway, here it is, and it looks like they ran out of space to add the Going Mobile part. Fuck, I thought I'd be playing this instead. So first impressions are pretty important, and honestly I think the graphics look impressive. I mean, it's easy to shred this game to pieces nowadays, but if you take into account the limitations the developers had to work with, then they still managed to at least make the sprites and levels look like Ratchet & Clank. It turns out the plot of the game was about the duo being trapped inside a digital world and trying to find a way out, while trying to stop that one villain from Secret Agent Clank. You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the story was probably way down on their list of priorities, which is fine. This is a mobile game after all, designed for people to play on the bus for an hour or whatever, so what really matters is the gameplay and the amount of content on offer. Overall, it still has the soul of what makes a Ratchet & Clank title. Each level is filled with enemies and boxes that give you bolts, which you use to buy weapons that fill up your quick select, which makes the harder enemies easier to kill. If you keep using a certain weapon consistently, you'll eventually be rewarded by it leveling up. Swing shots, ground rails and wall jumping all make a return and are the main platforming challenges that stand in your way, outside of moving platforms and spikes. In terms of extra content for replayability, there's all the stuff you'd expect from a standard Ratchet game. You can play through the game again on challenge mode, collect a total of 30 titanium bolts to unlock the Rhino, and even play a few levels in the Gladiator arena. Definitely not bad for a game that's less than 1 megabyte in size, especially since there's a total of 17 levels plus 12 challenges in the arena. But of course, it's this point in a review where we have to talk about the downsides, and while it's kinda hard to bash this game about what it doesn't have since the developers already physically couldn't add anything else, there are some glaring issues that hold back the experience. Most notably, the lack of any sound outside of the title theme and the occasional sound effect in game. The main theme itself isn't exactly all that special since it's just a 30-second loop, but going from that to hearing pretty much nothing else for the rest of the game is pretty jarring. Another big issue is just the fact that there's no memorable levels or interesting areas to explore. You've got the blue levels, the red levels, and the casino levels. That's it. Again, I realize this is probably out of their control, but still, it makes me question sometimes if I'm actually progressing through the game or just playing the same levels over and over. Aside from those few problems, Going Mobile is still a solid game for what it is, although I couldn't really see myself recommend it to anyone unless they're a die-hard Ratchet & Clank fan that needs to play every single game in the series regardless of how good it is. And if you wanted everyone to know that you played this game, Going Mobile gave you exclusive cheat codes to unlock unique multiplayer skins for Ratchet Gladiator. It sounds like a nice reward for people who were able to experience the online multiplayer back on PS2, and it even still works to this day. So that's more or less all I have to say about Ratchet & Clank Going Mobile. Like I said earlier, this looks like it was designed as a fun time waster to play on the train before iPhones existed. I mean, if I had to choose between playing this and reading a newspaper, then yeah, Ratchet & Clank Going Mobile is better than something, I guess. The next game for mobile, named Ratchet Clank Clone Home, was unfortunately cancelled, meaning that it's lost to time. It was meant to come out in 2006, only a year after going mobile, and would have seen Ratchet Clank returning to the Bogon Galaxy from the second game. Apparently it got cancelled due to the game possibly interfering with Ratchet Clank Size Matters plot, since it also involved the duo shrinking themselves to fight evil clones. Honestly, this cancellation still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it seems that Sony wanted the fans to focus on the upcoming PSP title, and from what I've seen, the game looks almost identical to going mobile. But luckily enough, if you were one of the few that was waiting for a new Ratchet mobile game, it only took 8 years. Following the release of Ratchet Clank Nexus, Sony thought it would be best to create a free mobile title in order to promote the main game, and within a month of Nexus's release, Ratchet Clank Before the Nexus hit Google Play and the App Store. Now, unlike going mobile, this was the game that I had first-hand experience playing when it came out, as I'm sure probably a lot of you watching had as well. Also, unlike going mobile, where I was able to show off my own gameplay, I checked both my old iPod Touch and iPhone 4 for this game, and I must have just deleted it. The store page still exists, though it just can't be downloaded anymore. Literally provides you with the PS3 version, just a little less graphical. People who rate this 1 star are very selfish. Oh yeah, I can see why. So what we have here is a 3-lane endless runner, the most original genre ever by the way, and as the name implies, acts as a sort of prologue to Nexus. I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, do you need me to explain how this type of game works? The most unique parts of this game is that you can buy weapons and ammo to use during certain sections, including a boss fight with the main antagonists. I guess it had slightly more depth than most other endless runners, but that sure as hell didn't make the game any more popular. It was created to promote Nexus after all, so I think it's fair to say that this was probably rushed out without much care, and ultimately it's been left forgotten, making it the final Ratchet & Clank mobile game. Unless... Now you might have looked at the thumbnail for this video and thought, what in the fuck is that? That, my friends, is Future Weapon. What would happen if we took Ratchet & Clank, Flappy Bird, and were able to use 100% of our brain? Yeah, I don't think we were supposed to see this.